welcome to this live session of the Kansas HOSA Fall Leadership Conference. Now, before I introduce myself, I have a little bit of an activity for you. So if you would, please type onto your phones, laptops, or tablets one word that would describe HOSA. As you type in that word, it will then appear on the screen. So please type in what word you think would describe HOSA. Awesome, I absolutely agree. Healthcare, definitely a big part of HOSA. Educational, for sure. Rewarding, absolutely. Keep entering in those answers. I'll give you about 30 more seconds to put in what you think would be best to describe HOSA. Swag. Interesting choice, interesting choice. I see a lot of you are putting fun. I absolutely agree. I hope that you all have been enjoying this conference so far and that you thought it was pretty fun. All right, absolutely. All of those words are so great to describe HOSA and what we do. Now, let's get into the meat of this presentation. So, if you don't know me, my name is Hannah Eckstein, and I used to serve Kansas HOSA as a state president and then the state president ex officio. But this year, I am honored and excited to serve all of HOSA internationally as the Central Region Vice President of the International Executive Council. On the screen right now, you can see me and my fellow IEC members just having a good time during an hours-long photo shoot. But I'm so excited to be here today with you all at Kansas HOSA here in my home state. I hope that you learn a lot from this presentation and you are ready to be engaged and interactive. If at any time someone needs to join this presentation and they came in a little bit late, that's all good. Just have them go to the link that you can find at the top of this screen. So, Hannah, what are we talking about today? Today, we are going to talk about the pillars of a successful chapter. So if you think about it, pillars are what hold a building up, what make it stable. And so we're going to talk about the 3 things that you need to have a stable and successful chapter. First, there's membership, then engagement, and finally, competition. Throughout this PowerPoint presentation, there will be plenty of opportunities to be interactive. I can see a lot of you have already found the emojis that you can send, and I'm happy to see all the hearts. That makes my heart just really happy too. So if at any time there's something that you particularly like, please use those emojis and be interactive throughout the presentation. Additionally, you can ask questions at any time using the device that you are on. We will also have a Q&A session at the end of this presentation, so you can ask me whatever questions you want about local chapters, state charters, or even international HOSA. So first, let's talk about membership. Now, go ahead and tell me, what is HOSA's membership? I know I just said you'd be able to ask me questions, but I'm going to ask you some too today. So go ahead and type on your device in your groups what you think HOSA's membership is. Oh, inclusion, absolutely. Access, okay. Spooky, I guess it is spooky season. A student-led organization, absolutely. Right now you have your state officers here leading a state conference for you guys, definitely student-led. Fun group, sure. Absolutely, I love all of these responses. Family, yes, I absolutely agree. HOSA is family. Every state team I've served on, and now on the international team, I have found my family. So the real answer to that question is you. All of you watching are the membership of HOSA, the people who make this organization truly amazing. And of course, as a local chapter, you want to have as many people involved in HOSA as possible because you want to show them all of these amazing opportunities, all of this inclusion, this access, this family. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit in this section about how you can gain membership and what your goals should be for numbers. So As you all might be aware of, there is a way that Kansas designates school based on their student population. So it usually applies during sports or extracurriculars, but I want you to tell me just about how big is your school. 1A is the smallest and 6A is the largest. And of course, if you are here from Pittsburgh State University, which I don't know if any of my fellow host members are right now, go ahead and just click university. No, this applies to you. But for my high school people, please put your A in the activity. All right, I see a lot of 2A schools. Happy 2A kids are showing up. That's awesome. All right, 3 University. Oh my goodness, that's so exciting. Hi, Pitt State. Happy you guys made it. All right, so a lot of 2A, 4A schools, absolutely. So now we're going to talk about what I have deemed Rule A, your goal for the number of students that should be involved in your local chapter. Basically, you're going to take that first number of your division. So my high school was 3A, and then you're going to multiply it by 10. And that is going to be the goal number of members that you should have. So I don't think we had anyone put 1A, but for all my 2A schools out there, your goal should be to have 20 hosts and members. So if you're not quite there yet, that's okay. You have plenty of time. However, it's a goal to work towards as we get closer and closer to that affiliation deadline. As you can see, as the school gets bigger, so should the amount of hosts and members. So go ahead and think about how you can start creating more membership opportunities for students throughout your high school. I'd love to see how many hosted chapters meet these goals by spring conference. But you might be wondering, sure, it's really, really cool to say this is how many you should have, but how exactly do you get people involved? And for that, I have 6 ways to get more people involved in your hosted chapter. So first, teach. A lot of people don't know what HOSA is, and if you tell them, they're gonna get excited. Remember how you described HOSA in one word earlier? Use that word to tell people exactly what they should know about HOSA and its opportunities. The more people know about HOSA, the more likely they are to join. Next, outreach. Now by outreach, I mean reaching out to broad audiences, more than just the people you see in your biology class. Reach out to students who aren't sure what they want to be when they grow up, but might have an interest in healthcare. There's a high chance that they will find their passion with HOSA. And don't forget about your favorite freshmen. Reach out to them because they need these opportunities as young as possible so they can be super involved in HOSA throughout their 4 years. Now, for a quick activity, if you're a freshman on the call, go ahead and hit that love button just so I can see how many freshmen we have here today. Oh, a lot. That's great. You guys are doing amazing. And shout out to your local chapters for getting you involved early. Next, we have Advertise. Now, this one seems pretty obvious, but it is something that you need to make sure your local chapter is doing. Advertise via posters in your hallways or social media so that people know when you're meeting and where you're meeting, and of course, how, if it's in person or virtual. Advertise using different formats so you can reach the broadest audience possible. Next, achieve your goals. Set goals for yourself, whether they're in the national service project, competition, or other areas, and achieve them. If people see your chapter being successful, they're gonna wanna be a part of that success. Next, lead. Have leadership positions in your local chapter and have those people be vocal about those leadership positions. If you're the president of your local chapter, let everyone know. That's a really awesome thing. And people will want to be a part of an organization that has strong leaders like you. And finally, influence. Have influence at your school. You can host events that aren't just for host members, but for anyone who wants to be involved. Maybe a blood drive, maybe a school dance, things like that to show that HOSA is up and active at your school. Now, knowing all those things, tell me, what do you think would work best at your school to gain members for HOSA? Go ahead and click on your favorite one in your groups. Reaching out to younger students, absolutely. I like the Achieve chapter goals. I think that's my personal favorite, but everyone has their own ways. You all have your own high schools that could tell you what you should do. Hi, Harrington HOSA. Sorry, I just saw that. Hello. All right. So advertising and having influence, absolutely, those are great ways to get students involved in HOSA. And I highly encourage your local chapter to try to do all of these things so that you can be the most involved at your school and hopefully have the most members. All right, moving right along, we are going to move on to our second pillar, which is engagement. So tell me, how engaged or involved are you in the following on a scale? So you have local chapter meetings, state conferences like the one you're here at today, competitive events, and the National Service Project. Go ahead and do that sliding scale on your phones and hit submit. Woo! Hopefully all of you are 5 at state conferences because you are here today. If you look on the bottom of the screen that I'm sharing, you can find the averages for how people feel. So I see a lot of you aren't involved right now in the National Service Project. That's totally good. Luckily, the state officer team has created a pre-recorded session for you all to watch and learn about our National Service Project, Be the Match. Great local chapter meetings. I love to see that you're all involved in your local chapter and what you guys are doing at your own schools. All right, great. Moving right along. So we're going to focus specifically on those local chapter meetings. And this mostly goes out to my current local officers and people who are interested in holding leadership positions in local office. How do you get people to want to go to chapter meetings, to want to be involved in those? So first, do something fun. It's really easy to do boring business sessions that are just a lecture of announcements, and no one really likes those. So try to do something interesting, like an arts and crafts activity or a trivia night, something to shift up the pace. I heard a lot of you really enjoyed the previous Kahoots that the state officers did. Maybe consider having a Kahoot at your local meeting, something to get your members energized and active. Next, take breaks from the business. Again, it's easy to make your local meetings just announcement after announcement. And if you don't have anything fun planned, consider just taking a break. 5 minutes for your members to chat about their classes or life for school or anything, just so that they can take a break from all the announcements and then come back refreshed to your meeting. And finally, change up the setting. If you're always in the same boring science lab, maybe go outside for a meeting or go into a gym or just something different, something to make your members go, I wonder why we're out there today. Then maybe you'll get a few more people headed out to your meetings and they'll be more interested in what you're saying as a local leader. Now, I gave you a few ideas, but tell me some fun things that you could do at your local chapter meetings. Once you submit that, we're going to vote on the best ideas. So go ahead and start submitting what you think would be fun to do. Bring food. You know, that's a pretty good plan. Sorry, I can't give you any food at this virtual conference, but it is a good idea. Play dodgeball. That is a great way to get active. Physical activity is so important to our health and to staying engaged at long meetings. Have a pizza party meeting, woohoo. I mean, yeah, absolutely. That kind of goes along with food. Icebreakers with random facts. If you are a big school where a lot of your chapters don't know, a lot of your chapter members, that is, don't know each other, it's a great way to have icebreakers so that you know each other and you can create those bonds across the grade separations. Lock-in room, escape room, all right. Games, picnic, absolutely change the setting and do something fun. All right, next, we're gonna go ahead and vote. So if you see one that you especially like, go ahead and give it a like and don't just like the one you submit. So show us what you think would be the best one to have a great engaging meeting. All right, food seems to be a theme and a winner here, for sure. HOSA trivia too coming up, absolutely. HOSA trivia would be good, though I do think I would win that. I have studied a lot about HOSA. All right, I think we have our winner, or winners that is. Bring food. All right, local advisors, you hear them. At your next meeting, bring donuts or pizza or even just some chips and have your members have food at your next meeting to increase their engagement and their happiness with HOSA. Next, we're going to talk about engagement at conferences. And I want to congratulate all of you because you're already doing a great job by being here at the Kansas HOSA Fall Leadership Conference. But as you may have guessed by now, the Fall Leadership Conference isn't the only conference that HOSA hosts. They also have SLC in the spring where you can show your skills in all those competitive events you learned about this morning. Then, of course, the ultimate test of skill at the International Leadership Conference this summer. While your Kansas HOSA state officers are in charge of FLC and SLC, I am in charge of ILC, where students from all around the world gather to compete, network, and learn about HOSA. So we now have a quiz for you. Go ahead and enter your name. Oh my goodness, moving so fast. Are you guys ready? We're now going to start the quiz. It's only one question, so go ahead and answer as best you can. I believe a state officer already told you this in opening ceremonies, but where will HOSA's International Leadership Conference be held this year? Any guesses? You have 5 seconds remaining. Time's up. And almost all of you were correct. Yes, in Nashville, Tennessee, this summer in June, you will find me and all of your EC members at the International Leadership Conference in Nashville, Tennessee. We are so excited to be back to an in-person conference in summer, and we are ready to see all of our Kansas HOSA local members show up. I'd love to see my home state's support. All right, and congratulations to all of these lovely people, including my favorite from Pitt State HOSA, Miss Rebecca Sheward. She is here. And great job to everyone who got that question right. I know it was a lot of you. And we're going to go ahead and move on. So we have a few other types of engagement for you beyond conferences and local chapter meetings. So first, run for state office. So throughout this conference, you have seen a little bit about what the state officers do. And there's also a pre-recorded session that the state officers have created about how to run for state office and what that entails. And I encourage all of you, every local member, to apply. It's one of the best experiences I have had in my entire life, and it set me up for later successes. So you should definitely consider running for state office. Next, participate in the National Service Project, Be the Match. Like I said earlier, the state officers have created a pre-recorded session for you, so I won't bore you with the details. Go ahead and watch that and learn how you can be engaged and be the match. And finally, integrate HOSA into the classroom. If you're in a biology class or an anatomy and physiology class, do HOSA things in there. A lot of our competitive events tie into what you're already learning in the classroom. So consider having HOSA a part of your class. So now I have a secret poll where people hopefully won't be able to see the results. Is anyone in your group considering running for state office? I highly encourage it, and don't worry if you say yes to this question, I won't hold you to it. But please consider running for state office and go ahead and answer that question. You have 5 more seconds to respond. All right, I'll make sure to look at those results later. Please consider running for state office. Your advisor will receive more information on that this upcoming spring. Now we are in our final pillar of a successful HOSA chapter, competition. Now, as a brief rundown, so I just know exactly what your experience level is. How many years have you competed in HOSA? I know a lot of our freshmen are here today and they're gonna say 0, that's okay. It's all right. It's good to be new. I'm sure you learned a lot this morning. And don't forget, if you were overwhelmed with all of that information, you can find everything the state officer said in those national guidelines. Oh, 4+ years, congratulations. All right, so a lot of people who have 0 years and a few people who have 1. That's pretty good. So I hope you learned a little bit this morning about competitive events and what they are. Don't worry, I'm not gonna repeat all of it. But I am going to tell you why all of you should participate in a competitive event this spring at the State Leadership Conference. 1, you are going to be able to learn about what you enjoy and enjoy what you learn. A lot of the things that you learn in class sometimes don't really apply to you. If you're a person who's interested in pediatrics, you usually don't care that much about a history class. However, with HOSA, you'll find that you'll be able to study exactly what you want to do. Find something that applies directly to your interests and what you like to learn. And of course, a lot of the times, the learning is fun. It's not all about tests. There's teamwork and leadership, things that you will need later on in life. Next, you get to work with your strengths. If you're a really great public speaker, you can do a public speaking event. If that's not quite your thing, but you are a mathematician, there's medical math just for you. You can work with what you already know to be the most successful. And finally, there are diverse events for everyone. With over 70 events, you are sure to find something that you will enjoy. I know the state officers gave you tons of information, and I really hope one of those events, or at least one category, resonated with you and something that you would like to do this spring. Now, based on all of those presentations, tell me, how sure are you on a competitive event or competitive event category? Very sure, okay. I know that if I were to compete this year, I would compete in health education. It is my favorite event personally. It's pretty cool. I see a lot of somewhat sure, so probably found a couple things you're interested in, but you know you're going to have to narrow it down later, so you're not quite ready. Absolutely, absolutely. Now, it's totally good if you are one of those people in the not sure category. Luckily for you, there is a little bit of time between now and the spring conference. So from there, you can do your own research and find out exactly what you would like to participate in. Now, I do have a few tips for you on how to prepare for your competitive events. Number one, get started early. For all of my people who said very sure, that means you should get started right now. Read those guidelines, start preparing for what you need to do. Some events take a lot of time to get ready for. I know for me in health education, it's hard to fit all of that in a week. So make sure that you are spreading out what you need to do, creating a timeline, and getting started as soon as you know what event you want to do. Next, for my local leaders and local advisors, host chapter work nights. It's hard to get motivated on your own to work on a project that isn't for a grade. So host a chapter work night where everyone gets together and studies for the test they're taking, or starts working on their portfolio, or practices their public speaking skills. Host a work night where everyone can get together, provide advice, and just create a good environment for preparing for HOSA. And finally, and I cannot stress this enough, read the guidelines. They will be your saving grace. If you're taking a test, it has practice questions and what study materials you need. If you are giving a presentation, it will give you time limits, what you need to include, and everything else that you need to know for that event. And of course, if you have an older member who's already participated in that event, then you can ask them. But number one, read the guidelines. All right, y'all, that rounds out my presentation. And just a reminder of what 3 pillars your local chapter should shoot for. 1, membership. 2, engagement. And 3, competition. Try to make sure all of those pillars are there holding up your local chapter. Now, if you have any questions for me, go ahead and start typing those on your phone screen. If you added questions early on or sent them in the chat, go ahead and send them in here, or I will have one of the lovely people working with me read those to me now. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. All right, everybody, thank you so much for coming to this presentation today. Of course, if you have any questions, don't be scared to reach out to your state officers or to me. I would be happy to answer those. And I wish you guys the best of luck this year. And I can't wait to see you meet all of those goals at the spring conference soon. All right, guys, have a great day and enjoy the rest of the conference.